You have questions, we have answers. This is Jane Muller.
And this is Ken Muller. Welcome to our show, all about real estate with Ken and Jane. And today's show, Jane, we have with us Matt Schlindwein and Brett Mercer of Greek Real Estate Partners. Guys, I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys having us today.
Oh, we appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedules, as I'm sure the construction industry is quite busy now. So to get started, just please tell us your roles in, I'm going to say GREP, Greek Real Estate Partners.
New name.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brett, you can go first.
Sure. I'm Brett Mercer. I am the managing partner, and I oversee the construction and execution side of our business. We have roughly 30 construction professionals in our department, and all things that happen on the ground and in the dirt. That's what we're here to oversee and manage.
Yeah.
So Matt Schlindwein, I'm a managing partner as well. I oversee, I like to call it like the creation of the new product. So anything that involves getting our sites ready for construction in terms of design, or one of the things that we all love in New Jersey are our entitlements and approvals of our projects, as well as teeing them up and getting them ready for construction, and then kind of pass it over to Brett.
Okay, cool. So you would deal with zoning, planning boards, site use applicability, and all dealing with all the PEs, the project planners, the townships, the public meetings, all that fun and time-consuming stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually a professional engineer myself.
Okay.
I'm a civil engineer by trade. That was my background, and although I don't sign and seal drawings, but I deal with all of our outside designers as well as our internal design team that handles all of our projects, and then definitely get to deal with all of our fund agencies at the state level as well as the local level to get all of our projects approved.
Okay, cool. So we got the two right people to talk about
That's
warehouse
right.
construction. We got the guy that finds the site, gets all the approvals, and then Matt takes the bulldozers and starts digging and then building So we're great. Before we get started on your projects and what's going on with the warehouse industry, let's talk about the rebranding that occurred last year, where your new name is now Greek Real Estate Partners.
Yeah, so it had been a while in the making. So one of the things that when I started the company, Greek Development was our name, and we are a developer. We do development. But we also do much more than that. So we have a host of services that we do, not only for our own internal accounts, but also for a lot of third-party customers. So one of the things is, Greek Real Estate Partners is not necessarily an owner of real estate. We are a service company. So we have a lot of real estate that through different entities in the family enterprise, I like to call it the family real estate enterprise, that are owned by the family and friends of the family, but the service company kind of stands on its own. So one of the things that we wanted to do is really try to connect better with our customers by rebranding the company to identify the things that we do, and specifically the things that we do for third parties, because we wanted to really take that opportunity to market ourselves better and to align our name better to our customers. So we identified the need to do that. We didn't want to break the company up. We wanted to keep the company together, but we wanted to create essentially sub-brands within the company for the different services that we offer. So one of the Greek Development still lives on. Greek Development is one of our sub-brands underneath of Greek Real Estate Partners, but we found it especially important for our management company as well as our design, build, construction company to kind of identify those as sub-brands so that we can use that to kind of relaunch, what we do out into the market, so that there was some better brand awareness. Because one of the things that we found ourselves running into is, as a developer, we were also marketing and doing a lot of third-party construction services, but it didn't necessarily fit, right? So if you're a developer and you're going to hire somebody to do your construction for you, you're not necessarily thinking of hiring another developer, even though we have that service and we were doing very well with it with the parties that we were working with. So we wanted to identify ourselves that way. So it took a while, and we finally launched it, and I think it's been successful. I think we got a great reaction from our customers, as well as just the general market, and that's that's kind of why we did it.
Sure.
I think that's a great name because real estate partner. I
Yeah.
mean, I believe it is a partnership.
Yeah.
It
right?
is. It
It's
is.
very inviting, right?
Yeah, and also you guys do partner with other entities, whether it be for financial and looking at some of the projects we're going to discuss. So you can't do it all yourselves. You may need some help or help from other groups to make for these massive projects that you guys are undertaking.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things over the years that I would say makes us somewhat unique is the flexibility of our business, being a smaller family office, but being able to operate at a large scale. And to operate at a large scale, a lot of times we do need those partners, whether they're our capital partners or, co-development partners. Frank Reek, our founder, has a significant track record in the industry of having that flexibility and being willing to partner with people. And I think that's one of the things that really kind of sets us apart. So although we are Greek Real Estate Partners, a group of partners that own a real estate development and construction and management company, we do have a lot of outside partners as well.
That's cool. That's
So
really
it works both ways because you'll have other partners work with you, providing the service your company don't have. And at the same time, you provide other partners with what you do the best. Which is
Absolutely.
not, besides your development, you do the designing, you do the building, you do the management. So that's for the other developer may take advantage of your years, decades experience.
Right, because this goes back, I guess it was established in 1938, and I guess the old tradition of Greek was basically to design or build and then hold on to their portfolio. So I don't know now, as we're in 2024, is your approach now, you're still doing that, but are you also doing third-party sites? If somebody approaches you, said, we want you just to design and build it, but we don't want you to manage it or hold it, you guys are
Absolutely
venturing in that area?
It was the whole. I mean, it was the whole idea of the Greek design build name, or the subset name, was when we went to the market. A lot of people didn't even realize that we would do third-party construction, and especially for the smaller developers. I mean, larger too, but especially for the smaller developers, we started reaching out to several different owners, occupants, and they said, "Well, we didn't realize that you actually do work for other people," and that was the idea of going with Greek Design Build on the execution and pre-construction side, of letting people know that we are willing to partner with them. And it's not just us; we're not just off on our own, building our own buildings and maintaining them, but that we have the ability to give our level of expertise to that owner of a piece of property that might, think, I have this great idea of I want to build a warehouse in whatever part of New Jersey or Pennsylvania, but I really don't know how to do it. So we wanted to let them know, yes, we can be your partner, or we can just be your builder. We can be just your developer for fee, and you want to build it yourself. There's a lot of different options, and to Matt's point, we're very flexible in that, being that we're a small family-owned business, we're flexible. We'll do what you're asking for and what you need in that type of contract structure, whether you need to help on financing. We have a whole group of acquisition team that has great contacts in the banking world that can bring capital to the projects. So, it fit better saying that we are real estate partners, whether you need it all the way up, or whether you just want just to be your builder, all the way through.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
I only learned you guys do the management a few years ago myself, because I thought you guys always own, develop, and manage your own properties.
Right.
Only a few years ago, I realized you guys actually offer the service managing other people's property. But now I know not only you doing that, you always help people develop and build a facility.
Absolutely.
So you guys are doing third-party management, but your own portfolio, is around 20 million square feet
Yes.
in the New Jersey, I guess, Pennsylvania area. So that means all that is self-managed within your internal corporate team.
It is as well.
So-
Yes. We manage our own properties as well as a significant amount of properties for others. We also, over the years, have kind of scaled up the size of our development projects using institutional joint ventures with large capital partners. So what we tend to do is, upon the completion of those projects, we try to bring them into our portfolio and hold on to those and manage them. So even though we may be in a situation where we're in like a 90-10 joint venture where 90% of the ownership is going to be the institutional partner and we're going to be the 10% partner, upon completion of those projects, usually we will keep those in and manage those projects. We like to hold on to our percentage as well. We don't like to necessarily just build and then exit the partnerships. That's one thing that makes us a little bit unique from some other developers as well. Some other developers are more of like a merchant build model where they'll build and then, sell out of the project at the end of the project and then move on to the next project. Traditionally, we like to stay in the real estate and own them, even if we're, not the majority partner and just a minority partner. And to your earlier point about the construction services, and I mean, the company basically started, like you said, in the 1930s, but it was, Frank Rieg's father as a contractor in Bergen County. There's actually a picture in the office of, Frank Rieg project number 1. And he's standing there on putting a porch addition on the back of somebody's residential house. And, so the company kind of came from being a contractor in the early days, contractor, and then as he was starting to get into commercial work, and then really at the kind of like the advent of where commercial real estate became something that was more in vogue and people were starting to do it more, he started to try to own those buildings. And then that's where the development company came from. So the point of building for third parties and being a contractor, it's kind of like that's how the company was initially born, was being a contractor. So all along the years, that's one thing that we've always done, is still built our own projects, and then try to build about half of our construction business for third parties as well, not projects that we're necessarily invested in. And that's just how it's been, over the years, and that's what we try to continue to do today.
Very interesting.
Wow.
Okay.
I learned something.
Yeah, we learn something every time, yes. Why don't we take a short break? We'll be right back after these messages. Okay, welcome back to our show. We're joined today with Matt Schlindwein and Brett Mercer of Greek Real Estate Partners. So, guys, let's talk about the warehouse leasing demand. I've been reading on the news, as I'm sure you're aware. There's still New Jersey still seems to have a high demand. CBS just leased in Hudson Park about a 427,000 square foot warehouse. The data is coming in is showing that the interest rates by the Fed are pretty much have peaked. And Chairman Powell said back earlier this week, the end of January, that they don't anticipate any further rate hikes, and that's a good sign that interest rates coming down. Different articles, whether it be Inman or CoStar, say that the warehouse leasing vacancy rate is around 4% for North Jersey, 4.2, but that's going to fluctuate. So let's talk about your guys. What do you think on the warehouse market, the forecast market for 2024 and even 2025? Since Matt, you're more in the planning stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly, the nice part is we are in one of the major industrial market. So we're strictly industrial. Greek Development does industrial projects, and this is the place where the population is, and this is the place where the users of our space want to be. The last year was a little bit of a slower year. Post-pandemic, there was a surge in industrial and in terms of rentals of space. I think there's a lot of wait and see attitude out there from some of the user groups, especially the user groups of that 400,000 square foot and over type space, where they were, they're looking for more space. They think they need more space, but they don't necessarily want to make a bad decision. And I think everybody was waiting and trying to see what was going to happen, right? We were in an interest rate hike environment. We were in a looming potential recessionary environment. And it didn't happen, right? So the shoot in and drop, I think there's still some companies out there that are in that same spot that are kind of waiting to see if there's going to be any weakness or any problems, and they don't want to make a bad decision in the face of recession, because that's how, quite frankly, the corporate real estate officer, those large companies can lose their job. So there's a little bit of that going on, but I think what you're going to see this year is just some decisions just have to be made, and some of those larger blocks of space are going to be taken. There has been a little bit of sublease demand out there, or I would say desire to sublease spaces from some of the larger users out there as well, which has also softened up the demand a little bit. The one thing that I would say, especially in New Jersey, that's occurring is there's going to be a shortfall of new space delivered. Construction starts are going to be drastically down this year. There was a lot of projects last year where even when the interest rates started to rise, they had pre-committed financing, they got their approvals, they were going. So they just needed to build through. So even though there was some headwinds, they just built those projects anyway. Those projects are delivering this year. I think this year, I don't remember the exact numbers, but new construction starts are going to be drastically less than half of what they were last year. And I think that's going to lead to the vacancy rates to come back down. And a lot of space to get absorbed. We're currently leasing a lot of space in our parks. Our vacancy rates are up a little bit, but that's just because we are speculators. We build on speculation, a lot of our projects, and we have a lot of projects that delivered last year, and they're in their lease-up phase now. So we still feel really good about the market. We think that there's going to be significant demand this year, especially in the latter part of this year, after some folks start to see the Fed easing a little bit, which I think everyone is telegraphing is going to happen. Whether it's going to happen in May, we're not sure, but I think it's going to definitely happen this year. I mean, they're basically saying that. So, like you mentioned, so I think that's going to provide some more certainty. I think it's also going to provide some more liquidity in the transaction market for sales of the larger buildings. I think there were a lot of people that just said, like, I'm just flat out not going to launch. I don't want to sell into what was going on last year. And they just held. They just put off that decision to transact on their space. I think you're going to start to see a lot more data points this year, especially in the second half of the year, around that space.
Right. That's, yeah. I think also, at least in New Jersey, the data indicates there's a lot of millennials, and that supports the need for the warehouses with the whole buying on Amazon and the instant gratification where you order it on a Sunday morning and by the afternoon it's there because there's a warehouse close by. And the whole industry, I guess the new terminology is that the warehouses are the new retail. They're replacing, like even CVS. They said they're shutting down the brick and mortar stores, but yet they're investing in these big, mega, relatively large warehouses for their operations. So I think there's a whole shift is to more warehouse selling directly as opposed and less and less retail.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, e-commerce has and will continue to drastically fuel demand for more industrial space. And the percentage of sales that are transacted online still has so much room to run. So I think you're going to see that continue. I think you're also going to see that continue in other sectors, other industries, like grocery. I think you're going to see a lot more direct-to-consumer grocery. People are starting to get much more comfortable with that. So I think that's going to fuel demand for warehouse space, also fuel demand for cold storage space in the state. There's been a little bit of a flurry of cold storage. Brett can speak to it a little bit, but we are also big builders and developers of cold storage space as well as regular warehousing.
Right. I think one of your recently completed projects is, I was reading, involved cold storage, or you built it for a particular client, right?
We did. We built a project down in Logan, New Jersey for Lineage. I actually recently just got back from the National Protein and Food Distributors of Association down in Atlanta, Georgia yesterday. And, it primarily resolves around the agricultural community and the way of getting agriculture to the consumer. And one of the major ways they do that is through cold storage. They process and freeze chicken, poultry, beef, and then to get it to either export it, which is one of our largest exports in the country, or to get it to the Northeast or wherever, because most of the poultry is down in Georgia, in the Southeast. They're able to blast freeze it, and then transport it up, whether on rail or through trucks. And we're seeing a significant demand for cold storage space, especially for a lot of the third-party logistics companies like Arcadia, Lineage, Americold, that are moving into the Northeast, and it's a great opportunity for us. We've done several projects for Preferred Freezer, Lineage. Now we actually have a small company that we're working for in Philadelphia, and one of the things I was going to bring up with the tenant and leasing is that as that has kind of slowed down, one of the things we've seen on our side on the execution is renovations and expansions. So instead of them tenants taking down larger spaces or maybe trying to grow, they've been more creative with making their space more efficient or upgrading their spaces to allow more employees, whether it's new bathrooms, new break rooms areas, rearranging racking and installing LED lights. So we've seen a significant increase on that demand for us. We enjoy doing that work as well because, we see those operators of those warehouses needing that efficiency, and also through automation. One of the things that we're seeing, especially with e-commerce warehousing, is that they're going to a more automated demand for rack aisle, narrow racks, where they can just pack more goods into a smaller square footage, which in New Jersey, the land costs a lot of money.
Yeah,
right. And, so they need that automation, and it's hard to run a forklift driving through some of the aisles, but they're able to get more out of it through using automation.
Especially when the older warehouses don't necessarily have the ceiling heights. They might have an 18, 22 foot. They don't all have now we're going to talk about that. Some of all your newer projects that I was reading, all are built with a 40-foot ceiling,
yes.
which is very smart. So you can stack up. You're not limited. Yeah, so that's that's just one example of the modern change in the design and build approach.
Yeah, we've been seeing that new 40-foot clear standard. It used to be that the buildings, when they started to get over 300,000 square foot and above, would want to have 40-foot clear. Now you're starting to see that become the standard even in the smaller spaces. Like Brett mentioned, some of the users and occupiers of the space, because the rents have gone up, it's not cheap to lease space in New Jersey, but they're really trying to maximize the cube. Because the way that we lease space to our customers is on a building per square foot basis. Mm-hmm. The way that our customers charge their customers is generally on the per pallet basis. So the ability for them to store more pallets per square foot of building just drives their revenue more. So I think that's why you're going to continue to see that. One of the interesting things is it's also kind of governed by the sprinkler technologies. So developers like ourselves and other occupiers of space want to have maximum flexibility in the space. So to have maximum flexibility in the space, it's not ideal to have sprinklers that run through your racking systems. Mm-hmm. And every year, the sprinkler technologies get better and better to allow a higher maximum deck height while having rooftop-only sprinklers in your building. So now there's certain sprinklers that would allow for products to be stored up to 45 feet inside of a building without having sprinklers in the racking, which is one of the kind of design trends that is allowing them fueling the greater heights of the buildings. There's certainly a cost associated with it, but I think it's going to become, it's going to continue to be a standard. I don't know if we'll be seeing 100-foot tall.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's right.
Buildings in the future. There is a limitation.
I was wondering, how high before
and the material handling equipment, quite frankly, for some of these businesses does become quite expensive to upgrade all of the forklifts that are necessary to go up for that higher height. Right. So while we're building it to 40 feet across all of our buildings, I would say the utilization rate of that increased clear height is probably still 50% or less. So there's a lot of our tenants who just don't use the cube, even though the height is there for them to use.
And also the leasing rate, like if they want that innovative sprinkler technology, I'm sure the builder and the owner have to pass that on in the rent, plus the triple net. The base rent is going to be has to be higher than it already would be under a normal situation, because there's a certain cost inherent in building that, and the tenant gets the advantage, but they have to somehow pay for that over time.
Yes,
it's not a free lunch. Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh, well, we have a lot more to cover. We're going to have you guys come back next week for the show.
Okay,
thank you so much, and thank you so much for your time. It was very informative. We'll see everyone next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.